Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. I am super excited to be joined by unbeaten 14-0 welterweight Ekow Essuman. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. And yourself? Thanks for having me, by the way.
No worries. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day. Really appreciate it. And yeah, welcome on whenever. So I'm sure that we'll catch up again soon as well. Okay, so before we get into the nitty gritty, for anyone who's not really familiar with yourself, do you want to tell me a little bit about your boxing journey and how you got into boxing?
Oh, I got into boxing. Well, I started boxing at kind of at a late age, at 17. I was into sports and I didn't get I used to play basketball. I didn't get onto a team I wanted to get onto. One season during tryouts, and I wanted to stay fit. So one of my mates suggested I go to a boxing gym, and so I tried it. And yeah, I just everything else was just I forgot about it. Stayed in boxing. Um, Started boxing within the local circuits in England, in the ABAs and whatnot, and started beating like people on the England team and on the GB team eventually. And that's what got me a shout of sort of scouts or people asking me to go in for a GB assessment. Um, that took a while. It took about 6 months. There was 40 boxers at my weight. Every week, someone else, two lads or three lads would get kicked off the assessments because they just didn't make the cut. And at the end, it was just me that was left. Got onto Team GB or the B team, kept working hard, got onto the podium squad, um, did my thing. I went on various tournaments all around the world, loved it, gained a hell of a lot of experience, and missed out on the Olympics to Josh Kelly, who went at my weight and went pro. And now he's 14-0, English champion, IBF European welterweight champion.
Yeah, that was a much better introduction, actually. I should have introduced you like that, shouldn't I? Don't worry, I'll make sure to mention it in the video. No, that's a really interesting story. I guess, yeah, as you said, you went into the gym, and I guess it sounds like you caught the bug of
Yeah.
boxing. You got into the gym and then caught it.
When I got into boxing and people say to me, "Oh, I want to try boxing. I might have one match." I always warn them like, you have to be careful because when you have that one match, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to have one. You're going to be one and done. Either you lose or win, and you just think this isn't for me, or two, you lose or win, and you just think this is me.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of the boxers that I've talked to, and when I hear them like speak like this, like yourself, it makes me think of. I think it was Tony Bellew who said that boxers, they need to have maybe like a little screw loose to really enjoy fighting.
Yeah.
Because he was saying that he's probably got, because he said, how can you enjoy or get enjoy or want to get paid for getting punched in the face? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and obviously he's a little bit nutty himself, so he was happy to talk about it, but it's quite funny. But yeah, I mean, look, props to you guys, and I've never been in the ring myself, so I can't say it, but you guys, it's a bit different to sport like football, tennis, where you can't obviously get hurt. Well, not to the same degree as boxing. So, I guess you definitely need to have that commitment and passion.
Yeah, you can't.
And
You can
it
play other
sounds.
sports, but you can't play boxing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It seems like a lifestyle when I talk to most
Yeah.
boxers, a lifestyle, and they have to have that kind of drive. And I feel like if they're not fully committed, then that's, I guess, when you can get hurt, etc.
Yeah.
So that's a really, really interesting story. Thanks. In terms of like the current climate, because obviously you're an elite athlete, so
Yeah.
I know you're able to go to boxing gyms, etc. But how's it affected you in terms of the restrictions? I know maybe strength and conditioning or other work around your training that you would normally do. What have you done to, I guess, adapt?
Most of my training is in-house, aside from strength and conditioning. Well, just found ways around it. The kind of programs I was on, we found ways to adapt it to be whether I pick up some weights from there and I use them at home. I use them when I go to the boxing gym, and I have my programs. Just like when I was on GB, you kind of get set programs, so I know what I need to do and just get them done in my free time. Yeah. But aside from that, the whole lockdown and everything, like, it hasn't affected me that much. Like, the whole social aspect of life, yeah, completely. But boxing lifestyle wise, no, because in boxing it's kind of, you live a secluded life anyway. You just go to the gym, get back from the gym, you're knackered, so you can't really do much, so you just rest, and then you go back to the gym and do your thing. You get back, and next thing you know, it's 9 o'clock, and you're thinking, I'm knackered, I want to go to sleep. so
Yeah.
it hasn't changed much aside from the social aspect of life.
Yeah, it's funny. I talked to Jazza Dickens, and he said that, I guess he said for boxers like himself and you, that it's almost perfect in the sense that because you don't have any outside distractions of that social aspect, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That, you know, you're used to being in camp anyway, so it's almost like you're in camp, but it's, you know, you've been in camp for like a year basically. And, you know, you just, all you've had is, you know, all you've been able to do is concentrate on boxing, which I guess to a degree is good, and you're able to hone your craft, etc. But yeah, I guess, you know, obviously the social aspect isn't there as much. So is there anything like sorry, go on.
I'll just say I've taken a lot of time to actually work on things, as opposed to being in camp and going through the motions, just getting fit. I've actually worked on things, so it has its silver linings.
You know, it's funny you say that, because I was actually about to ask you about whether you've worked on anything specifically, kind of like improving or honing any kind of specific aspects to your game in this time.
Yeah, I've just been honing in on a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, some days in the gym, my trainer will make me spar and only use my left hand, and then after a while of doing that, you go into a normal spar and you're thinking, oh, this is all right. I haven't even used my right hand yet. But then that gives you the chance to actually set up your right hand. So then you're thinking about setting it up properly, and you're throwing it properly. When you throw it, you know it's going to land and whatnot. So it's been good. Yeah.
No, that's good. I guess sometimes when you just have fights and they're rolling through, you look at your opponents, or, you know, you train for that fight, but sometimes I guess you don't have time to sit back, like you said, and actually work on specific things you might want to. So I guess it's a good time to do that. What does 2021 look like for you then, in an ideal scenario? How many times do you want to get out, and you got anyone in mind? Kind of, where are you looking to be at the end of 2021?
2021, by the end of 2021, I will be the British and Commonwealth welterweight champion, and I will be looking to defend my IBF welterweight title as well. I should have that British and Commonwealth fight by the end of March against Chris Jenkins, and I'm gearing up for that. Sparring the likes of Florian, Marku, and David Avanesyan, and obviously my gym mate, Derek Osazi, winner of Ultimate Boxer 3. Getting that work in, honing my skills, looking to get out at least those 2 major matches for me. Anything else would just be extra, and all about it.
Nice. Well, that's good. You're pretty much answering all the questions I'm going to ask you before I even do. So it's perfect. It's almost like we've got this affinity. So I'm really happy. Because I was going to ask you about, you know, potential fight news, and you've pretty much just told me. So, okay, so Chris Jenkins, you're looking at in March, you're saying, for the British and Commonwealth. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, that's really cool. So how is it sparring Florian, Marku and Avanesyan? Because obviously they've both got 2 fights coming up as well. 2 potentially, especially for Avanesyan, it's a big fight against your, you know, former GB teammate in Josh Kelly. What do you think? Well, how do you find the sparring first?
Sparring great, really. Avanesyan's a pressure attack boxer, European style. He switch hits and he puts it on you, and that's what I need, and that's what I like in sparring. That element of having to be on it, having to concentrate properly, to box, roll, and use them both at the right times. And Florian Marku, he is a different kind of pressure boxer. He's come from a different background, not just boxing, and you can kind of tell in the way he fights. and the way he sets up some of his combos and shots. He's just trying to get you out of there the whole time. And you have to have a good boxing brain on your head to just work your way around the ring and get your shots off, mixing box and brawl when you have to, and yeah.
Okay, no, that's cool. I mean, the as you said, the work you're getting, it sounds like you're getting some really good sparring in. So, you know, Avanesyan being the European champ as well, and I think, to be honest, from what everyone's saying, it seems like Josh Cayley is going into that fight as the underdog, really, considering Avanesyan's form. So that'll be an interesting clash as well. And your division stacked, it really is at welterweight. Not just, you know, we know how big the welterweight scene is worldwide, but even domestically. You've mentioned Josh Kelly and Florian Marku, but there's Conor Benn, Chris Congo, Luther Clay, Ryland, Charlton. So, you know, it's stacked, and you're obviously Chris Jenkins as well. So when you and Chris Jenkins get into the ring in March, what's going to happen?
Ultimate savagery.
Ultimate savagery.
Ultimate savagery.
That's good. Okay, I'm looking forward to it now. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Ultimate savagery. Okay, I'll just leave it as that. I'll leave it as that. You've done enough there for sure. So you said that at the end of this, you know, you face Chris Jenkins, and you know you become British and Commonwealth champion. And for the rest of 2021, then how many times are you ideally looking to get out? Because that'll be one. Are you looking to get out maybe 2-3 times? And then what you look?
Yeah, ideally.
I don't want you to look past Chris Jenkins, obviously, because I know you probably only focus on that. But if we kind of just very briefly touch upon, once you've got past him, what are you looking to do for the rest of the year?
I like to keep active, but ideally I'd want to box 4 or 5 times a year. I wouldn't want to leave too long between matches. I'd probably want to fight every 2 months. So basically, have a match, have 2 weeks out, get back into a 6 to 9 week camp, and then get back on it. Like, there's nothing else to do right now, and I'm used to that anyway. Like when we was at GB, we was just flying here, there, everywhere, boxing all the time. So might as well do it whilst you can.
Well, I love to hear that. It's good. It's good. It's always nice to hear fighters say that they want to be active, because, you know, I think the worst thing that can happen is a fighter not being active and then going stale and not fulfilling their potential just because they're not being active. So it's good to see, you know, and hear when people want to do that. Okay, so what's your, let's say, you know, everything's happening as you want it to in 2021. What's the end goal for you? I'm assuming it's to become world champion, but do you have aspirations do you have like a tick box or a tick list even that you think, okay, this is what I want to do in my career? Or is it take one fight at a time and then build towards, you know, obviously becoming world champion, etc., but you don't have anything specific?
Yeah. I do want to become a world champion first and foremost. I'm actually one ahead of my tick box because I wanted to win the British and then win the European title, but I won the European title first. So obviously, yes, I want to win the British. I would like to defend the British and win it outright. So that means 3 or 4 wins on the trot with the British title. And the British also opens doors to the world honors. So yeah, from there, just take over the world.
Nice traditional route. To see, no, obviously, as you said, having to defend the belt 3 times to win it outright. So it's nice. It's good though. It's good that sometimes I hear people, and you know, it's not like they're deluded. It's just, I think sometimes you hear people and they're so excited to just move as quickly as possible, like kind of through the levels, and you don't want to. And no, there are examples of people move through too quickly and they've been found wanting because they haven't quite done their like apprenticeship at that level. So no, it's good to hear. In terms of being at 147, so as I said, it's a packed division, and you know there's loads of matchups to be made. But long term, do you see yourself just staying at 147 for the rest of your career, or is there potential to move up to 154, for example?
It just depends really on what my body will let me do. I mean, when I first started boxing, I was a light heavyweight. I was fighting at about 70, 78 kilos. And then when I found out this magical thing that they call dieting, I got down to middleweight, which is about 75, and then after a while of that, I was finding myself weighing probably 72 for a middleweight fight, and I was thinking, well, I've got to just go down to 71, which was that kind of welterweight-ish weight in the amateurs at that point in time. So I started fighting at that, and then my dieting and nutrition got better, and I was weighing 69 and a half for those matches, and then luckily they changed the weights down to 69 kilos. Then I just boxing at 69 kilos, and then turned pro. And I always thought, can I make 66? Like, can I do welterweight? And I just gave it a go and made it. So yeah, so I've been welterweight ever since. But it's just one of those things. If ever I'm getting to the weight and I'm just not feeling right in my body, then I'll just move up, because it's not like I haven't boxed at those weights before. So
yeah, that makes sense. That's interesting. It's so funny that you said that. You know, you found this thing called dieting, and then as soon as you sit down with like a dietitian, and they say you can probably just cut this a little bit here and here, and then you're like, I can move down 2 weights, really? Like, you know, can that work? And it's funny. Yeah, I'd probably need to get on that as well, to be honest. So I might have to ask for your dietitian. Actually, before we move on, I've just got a couple of questions actually, and then if it's okay with you to wrap up, I want to do some potential fights and get your opinions on them. That's all right.
Okay.
But first of all, just to stick with you. So, as you said, you know, you've moved down to 147, etc. And you said you want to become world champion. That's obviously an aspiration of yours. If you had a crystal ball and you could ask for anything, and I said, let's say your ideal venue, an ideal opponent to face before you end your career, what would it be?
It would MGM Grand and Mayweather, and not even for like, you know, Mayweather payday, just to be able to beat the puzzle that is.
Okay, no, that's cool. Okay, let's pretend that Mayweather's retired, because I don't know if he is. Let's say he's in between, isn't he? He's in limbo, really.
Oh, you mean realistic opponents right now? Or I thought you just meant just opponents just in general.
No. That can be I guess I don't want to say it's a historical one, because he is kind of fighting, but it's more exhibition stuff now. But yeah, maybe someone who realistically, you know, you can fight, who's active at the moment. Let's say
Crawford. Yeah.
Yeah. Crawford. Okay. A big fight at MGM Grand. Well, I'll be keeping my eyes peeled for that for sure in a couple of years' time. Yeah, for sure. And outside of boxing, what kind of hobbies do you do at the moment? The social scene, as you said, is a bit, well, it's dead really right now. But what do you do in your downtime?
In my downtime, I recently had a little daughter, so in November. So
congratulations.
I entertain my little daughter, and no, but aside from being a dad, just I do a little bit of music production here and there. Used to be a web developer, so I play around making apps or websites and whatnot, and just banter with my mates and watch random series on Netflix. I mean, there's not all that much to do, entertainment-wise, aside from, you know, go on the long walks. Or actually, over the lockdowns, I've seen so many new different places within my area that are actually like nice and scenic and that. So that's been pretty cool, and it's also like makes way for new running routes as well. So no complaining. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Because before like this whole lockdown, etc., I feel like life was going at like 100 miles an hour, and you wouldn't notice like small things. But as you said, even with me, like I walk down the road, and, you know, I'll do a little walk around, you know, my local area, and I'll be like, hold on, how long has that been there for? This little shop or this little place here? And then I'll come home, and someone will say to me, no, that's been there for like a year, and I'll be, okay. Okay, just never noticed it, because it just never popped into my head. It's quite funny. Congratulations anyway on your the birth of your daughter as well. That's really exciting news, and I'm sure most of the time probably is entertaining her. I'm sure. But no, it's cool. You said about music developing. That's really interesting, or music producing. So I talked to Dex Spellman, and he said that he's got his own band. So might have to hook you two up, and you can collab on something. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I've just got a few like 2021, confirmed fights and kind of potential fights for 2021 that I want to get your opinion on. Yeah. And first of all, I won't ask you potential fights with yourself and someone else because I know you're just going to say you, which is fair enough because a fighter has to be confident in themselves.
Imagine if you didn't, then you get a phone call the next day. So and so wants to fight you.
Yeah, it's so true. Like I asked Denzel Bentley. He said before I asked him about any fights, he said if it's me against anyone, then I'm going to pick me. He said, yeah, if it's Canelo, I'm knocking him out by body shot. I was like, okay. Fair enough. Okay, let's stick with your division first. So Florian Marku versus Ryland Charlton, that's coming up. Who do you back to win that and why?
That's going to be a good match. I reckon Florian can win it. I reckon he can win it. But Ryan Charlton's cool, calm, collected, but he's just got bricks in his hands. So Florian can win it, but he has to apply the right pressure.
Yeah, that's gonna be a cracker. That's a very diplomatic answer, and especially as you've just been sparring him, so that's fair enough. I think. Josh Kelly. So say Josh Kelly comes through the Avanesyan fight, and Conor Benn comes through his fight against Samuel Vargas. Josh Kelly versus Conor Benn. Who do you think would win that?
I reckon Kelly would beat him.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
How comes?
Knowing Kelly's boxing brain during GB and shortly after, and knowing that he would have improved under the tutelage of Adam Booth and the people he's around. Yeah, Kelly.
That's fair enough. You're very sure of it, so that's fair enough. And someone who, again, sticking to your division, someone who you hopefully in the future, you'll fight against in a really big fight, Crawford versus Spence.
I reckon Crawford would win it. Like Spence, like they're both amazing. Everyone's like hypes about Spence, but for me, Spence does every like little kind of boring technique spectacularly. He'll jab you spectacularly, but heavy-handed, and he is heavy-handed, so he does break a lot of people down, and he gets them out of there. But I reckon Crawford, he's just got too much of a good boxing brain, and he does have power as well to not win it. I reckon. So I reckon Crawford. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. And then the last one at the welterweights, Virgil Ortiz versus Boots Ennis.
I'm on the fence. Either or.
Yeah. What do you think of those two though? Because there's a lot of talk around in the US or across the pond about them being two people in the US to definitely come into their own and start dominating in that division. What do you think about them?
I've heard of Virgil Ortiz, but not really the other guy as much.
Jaron Ennis. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, Jaron Ennis.
Sorry. Yeah, Jaron Ennis.
It sounded like you said a European name.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I think in that case, I think Jaron Ennis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
I like his style. I like the way. I like his style, and he has a pop in his shots. Yeah.
Yeah, he's exciting. They're both three exciting fighters to see. Okay, and then lastly, the big fight in the UK that I think everyone is hoping is going to happen, which everyone's saying, Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum, all saying it's 90%, 95%, whatever percentage you want to put on it. But it's not done anyway yet. AJ versus Fury. Who wins it and why?
I think AJ wins it. and everyone will be like, oh my God, did you not see what Fury did to Wilder? But you just think AJ is like way better than Wilder. He's better all around in general. He's a good finisher, and he does set about people. I don't think Fury would be able to bully him the same way he did with Wilder. I think it also depends on when the match ends, because like the middle stages of the match and the last few rounds, that has a big factor into who will win that match, I think. Yeah,
it's a really intriguing one, because I guess before it was seen as AJ was just a knockout artist and Tyson Fury the master boxer, but they both seem to have picked up a little bit of either or now. So Tyson Fury seems to be able to bang because he's planting his feet, I guess, and he's got that Kronk style, and AJ, I guess, was more fleet-footed against Andy Ruiz. So it seems like they've both got different styles. So it'll be interesting, I think, to see what happens, and hopefully it does. But I don't think the first fight will happen here anyway. It'll happen in the Middle East, but hopefully the second one will happen here in the UK, and we can all go and see it. And I probably won't get a ticket, but you might get one. You might get one.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope
so. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to touch upon, or anything you want to say?
No, I'd just like to give a shout out to all my sponsors and all the people that have gotten like behind me, that send me messages on Instagram and the support and whatnot. All my sponsors can be found on my Instagram, Ekow Essuman, Ekow.Essuman, and I shout them out every once in a while, and here, there, and everywhere in my stories. So yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to them.
Oh, fair enough. Thank you very much, though, again, for being on. I really appreciate it, and I'm really looking forward to your fight in March. Do you any idea about when it'll be confirmed, etc.? Fight news?
I think I'll just have to wait until the fight news drops.
Okay, fair enough. Can I give anything away? Okay, that's no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Yeah. Well, I look forward to that announcement shortly, I'm gonna guess, because it's in March in the next couple of weeks, etc. And look forward to seeing you out. And yeah, maybe we can catch up before or maybe straight after the fight and catch up on that. Thank you again, and thank you guys as well at home for watching. And yeah, stay safe. Thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for having me.